Afternoon. So with the early free kicks switching the play, out the burn on the heroes of midweek. They're going to go in the Champions League. They're going to only touch today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMB TV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. We are back for another Premier League encounter involving West Ham United FC. This time, the opponents, Newcastle United. Fresh like West Ham from European success in midweek. Bear with me a second. Here we go again. There we go. Let's press that button. There we go. You can see us now. Great stuff. How you doing, folks? Hope everyone's well. Hope you're having a good Sunday, having a good weekend and all that sort of stuff. Let's hope West Ham can make it a little bit more enjoyable, shall we, this afternoon? The Hammers, as we said, at home to Newcastle this afternoon, both winners in Europe in midweek, the Hammers and the Mags. And the two teams meeting at the London Olympic Stadium this afternoon, both going well in the Premier League, both in the top half of the table, and both in relatively decent form so far this season, especially the Hammers, of course. Fantastic win, wasn't it, in midweek against Freiburg? Really, really good performance by the Hammers, and a very, very valuable and much-needed 3 points that put us in a really strong position in Group A of the Europa League. I'm going to turn this brightness down a little bit. Hang on a second. That's it. I seem to be getting glared in the glare. There we go. That's a bit better. West Ham, there's the teams up there. As you can see, still no Kudus. A lot of people were hoping that Mo Kudus was going to be in the starting 11 today. Hasn't happened. Mickey Antonio back from the injury issues or problems he had in midweek. Let's just scroll up a little bit. There we go. It's better. It's pretty much as you'd expect from David Moyes this afternoon. Tommy Souček back in the side, of course, as well. It's an experienced and battle-hardened, wearied West Ham team that's out there. So Areola in goal, Soufal and Emerson at fullback, Zuma and Agerd. Of course, he scored him in week at centre-half. In the middle, we had the triumvirate of Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and Souček with Paquetá and Bowen flanking Mickey Antonio at the top end of the pitch. So, how are you feeling about today? Let's have some predictions, folks. What do you reckon? You fancy a bit of West Ham today? Fancy 3 points? Think the Mags are going to be too strong for us? Let me know in the comments section underneath this particular video. Let me know what you're thinking. If you think West Ham can overcome what is now a very, very strong Newcastle team. Just changing bins. Bear with me a second. Not so much glare on these ones. Hopefully, let's have a look. There we go. It's a little bit better. So 4 minutes gone anyway in this game. West Ham kicking on our screen, or my screen, from left to right. Ball played into the box by Newcastle. And it comes to nothing, fortunately. And West Ham can go again. It was Elliot Anderson. Tried to get on the end of the cross. Having one today. But marshalled out by Vladdy Soufal. So lots of Premier League action, wasn't there, yesterday? We'll go over that in just a minute. For those of you who didn't see the results. But anyway, 5 minutes gone. Newcastle with a free kick just inside the West Ham half on West Ham's left side of the field. Emerson's side. It's going to be taken. It's about 5 yards beyond the centre circle on the right-hand side. So West Ham bringing numbers back. Newcastle about to launch a free kick into the box. There it goes. Launched to the edge of the box, cleared out by Lucas Paquetá. Gets the header on it and puts it out into a touch for a Newcastle throw-in. You're getting organised. Not good, not good. So what have you been up to, you guys? What did you do yesterday? No football on Saturday? Did you get out and do a bit of shopping, maybe? Do a bit of gardening? You know, end of the summer and all that, getting your herbaceous borders in nice and tidy for the coming winter months. What else? Maybe you went to visit someone. It's funny, isn't it? Saturday-less footballs. It's odd, even though it's, we don't seem to get too many anymore these days. Anyway, it still strikes me as I'm kind of a bit at a loss on a Saturday if there's no football on. But let me know. Let me know what you're up to. I should say some hellos, really. Hello to Craven. Yes, indeed, I am late. Hi to Hobo, to Dan, to Jebs, Tony Mitchell, Stevie Palmer, Dave O'Rourke, and everyone else who's currently joining us on the stream. Ladies did well at Brighton, says Jebs. 1-2-0. Indeed, they did. Indeed, they did. Good result for the women today. But hoping to do a double here. Where Newcastle still got the ball inside the West Ham box. Ball sprayed out to Kieran Trippier on the right hand side. But the ball played into the box, into Almiron, but he fails to get a decent touch on it. And the ball runs all the way through to Alphonse Areola in the West Ham goal once again. And he'll launch a West Ham attack with the ball straight out to Vladi Soufal. West Ham obviously could do a result here against Newcastle today. Last time we played, of course, we were slightly humiliated. Was it 4 or 5? Might have been 5, I can't remember. But wasn't the best performance we've ever had up there. At home against Newcastle. So it'd be good to get a bit of revenge this afternoon. Ball sprayed into the box by West Ham. Quick free kick taken, looking for Lucas Paquetá, but he can't get on the end of it. The ball goes all the way through to goalkeeper Nick Pope. It's better. Jarrod Bowen for West Ham. 7 minutes gone on the ball. Looks to play it back to Vladi Soufal. Ends up going straight out of touch under pressure from Newcastle. Be interested to see quite how Newcastle approaching this one today. Eddie Howe's obviously quite a shrewd manager. He'll obviously be used to the way West Ham play. But I suspect he might have 1 or 2 surprises up his sleeve today, hopefully, as has David Moyes at the other end. Because West Ham could certainly do with a result here today, if possible. Now, 3 games. There are, of course, 3 games taking place in the Premier League this afternoon, all kicking off at 2 o'clock. You've got Brighton against Liverpool, Wolves versus Aston Villa, and this one. Ball played down the left. Now, Emerson's got behind. Can he put it back? It must be a goal for Souček. It's 1-0 to West Ham. The Hammers are ahead. And Tommy Souček, the player who a lot of people felt shouldn't even be in the team, has got into that forward position once again to side foot the ball into an empty net after Emerson. It was a bit of a fortuitous touch, I think. The ball played over the top into Emerson. Let's have a look. It's Mickey Antonio, I think, who plays the ball. Let's have a look. Antonio has it on the left touchline and plays it back to Paquetá. Paquetá actually puts the ball over the top for Emerson. Emerson sticks out a left foot looking to control it. It doesn't quite control it, but what that does is take the ball inadvertently, I think, round Nick Pope. Emerson, all he has to do then is simply pull the ball back into the 6-yard box from the left-hand side, where Tommy Souček has made that advanced run, as we said last week, the kind of runs he wasn't making last season because of Declan Rice's presence in the team. He's now making those runs forward, and in the end, he's got himself a tap-in because of the anticipation. It's a great start for West Ham, and first goal of the day. I think it's no surprise that yet again, Paquetá, our man of the moment, is involved there. It's a lovely little ball he plays into the channel over the top of the defence into Emerson, who's making that run. Clearly something the boys have been working on in training. I mean, I was just saying a few moments ago, I wonder if David Moyes has got a couple of things up his sleeve. Well, there you go. Emerson getting forward, making those advanced runs, managing to get into the box. What did you think about that, Serge? Do you think that was deliberate, the touch that took the ball round Nick Pope, or do you think it was a little bit fortunate, as I suggested it might have been? Let me know in the comments below. It doesn't really matter because West Ham are ahead. Yeah, well worked goal, says Tony Mitchell. Lovely goal, says Dan B. Craven. You might want to retract that that prediction, buddy. Sod's law, isn't it? Sod's law. Those things happen. But West Ham a goal ahead. That's certainly got the crowd going. We're 10 minutes gone now. In this game, it's really made the game come alive. But lovely football from West Ham. Yet another great move. Looking to build again on the right hand side. Ball played right down to Jarrod Bowen on the touchline, who takes it on his chest but can't keep the ball in. And it's a goal kick for Newcastle. So Hammers off to a fantastic start here. Really couldn't have asked for much more. I had a feeling, and I'm not just saying this, I can back this up because I wrote something on the KUMB forum to this effect a little bit earlier this lunchtime. But I had a feeling West Ham might get a result here today purely because how often do you see a team, go out and have a wonderful result as Newcastle did on Wednesday night against Paris Saint-Germain, and then, succumb to an unexpected or a slightly lesser defeat, in the following game, kind of as if you're taking the foot off the gas, as it were. So I kind of thought that, we might have a chance. We should have a chance anyway with the home team. There shouldn't be a lot technically between the two sides, but it's a great start for West Ham, and yet another great first half. Of course, we've still got that problem of conceding early in the second half. Let's hope that we can maintain or even enhance our lead prior to that, and obviously when we get there, hold it. But it's a good start anyway for West Ham. Newcastle with the ball inside their own third, just playing the ball around. The Hammers pushing fairly high, pressing quite high, and I've managed to turn the ball over with Alvarez in the centre circle. Souček on hand. Big round of applause for Alvarez for that interception there, right in the centre circle. The ball back with again, plays it down the channel for Miki Antonio, who once again is stationed out on the left-hand side. Just can't quite control the ball. It runs out into touch. But we've seen this before, haven't we? Miki Antonio, rather than that central role, pushed out to the left slightly. Where it's worked really well for West Ham in times and in days and seasons gone by. So we've obviously seen the goal come from that area today, with Antonio picking the ball up and playing it back to Paquetá, who put the ball through for Emerson for that fabulous opening goal. But 12 minutes gone. West Ham United 1, Newcastle United 0. There are no goals elsewhere in the other games today. Brighton, Liverpool, Wolves, Aston Villa. There were, of course, several games yesterday. I don't need to go over those. You've all seen them if you wanted to see them. And as it stands, we're all looking forward to matching the day tonight. But long way to go. Here's Alvarez once again with the ball, plays it short to Thomas Souček, tries to find Miki Antonio, but the pass is intercepted. Short pass. Again, Souček getting into those advanced roles that last season we just didn't see him get into. Newcastle with the ball now on the right hand side of the pitch. Tonali, the Italian international, plays it out on the left-hand side. It's really difficult to read the Newcastle numbers with red text on black and white stripes. The ball played deep into the box, looking for Almiron, but his header, weak header back into the centre, is easily claimed by Alphonse Sarrion. Sorry, it was Trippier, not Almiron, who sent the header back in. That's a very strange choice. It's quite unusual because there must have been a change in the Premier League's edicts, because up until fairly recently, it was the case that if you wore a striped shirt, you had to have a square single colour cutout on the back for the benefit of the TV folks, for just this reason, because I can't read the numbers. Unless I can tell who the player is, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly who's on the ball for Newcastle. Even the red number on the shorts isn't particularly clear. So there you go. But so it looks like that's changed again, because we've got a red number on a black and white shirt, which is completely unreadable. But there you go. West Ham with the ball. Miki Antonio, short to Emerson, plays it into Ward-Prowse. Back to Emerson on the left of the box, but he has his pocket picked by a Newcastle player with an indistinguishable red number on the back of a shirt. And the Magpies regain possession. Good to see Craven engaging in a little bit of reverse psychology this afternoon. Let's have a little bit more of that, buddy, see if we can keep it going. 14 and a half minutes gone. West Ham United lead by 1-0. The goal coming from Thomas Souček after 9 minutes, an assist by Emerson on the left-hand side. Newcastle now with the ball in the centre circle. Souček, Antonio and Paquetá are in close attention. All played out onto Newcastle's right. Back into the centre. Tonali, the Italian international, with the ball, plays it behind him. It's played out onto the left-hand side. Vladimir Coufal moves out to the player with the ball, who cuts back in. Comes back. West Ham just keeping their shape, holding it tight. Guimaraes with the ball for Newcastle. And the ball played into the channel, over the top, looking to get over the back of Emerson, but it's just put straight out into touch. I think it was Longstaff who played that ball. But terrible ball. But you can see what Newcastle are trying to do. They're trying to obviously get the ball out wide, get it behind the fullbacks and pull the ball back. And Newcastle, of course, missing a few players, just looking at their team. Likes of Elliot Anderson and Dan Burn. Perhaps might not have started necessarily if one or two others have been, completely fit. But this is where we are. West Ham, of course, it's a brilliant touch by Paquetá, and that's going to be a yellow card. I think we're going to see a yellow card. Emerson asking, right? Well, that's ridiculous. The Newcastle player has been booked for the yellow card. It's Bruno, I think. Is it Guimaraes? Booked for the foul on just tripped. So it's a lovely little 1-2 between Emerson and Paquetá. Paquetá, the little back heel. Emerson, as he went through, tripped by Guimaraes, and then Emerson himself receives a yellow card for waving an imaginary yellow card at the referee. You know, quite frankly, I'm with the referee on that one. I hate to see players doing that. I absolutely abhor seeing players try and get other players booked, and I think Emerson's got exactly what he deserves there. Don't want to see that at West Ham. Don't want to see it anywhere, but you know, certainly don't want to see it at West Ham. So Emerson's learned a lesson. Free kick taken, sent into the box to Mickey Antonio, who heads it down, but there's no one there, and hooked clear by Newcastle into the centre circle, where Kurt Zuma, West Ham skipper, awaits. That's a dodgy back pass by Newcastle, but they managed to clear up. Yeah, interesting to see Emerson booked for that. Ball played into the box by Paquetá, looking for Tommy Souček into an advanced position. Once again, getting in behind Mickey Antonio. Obviously something they've been working on there. But goalkeeper Nick Pope manages to come out and claim that one. Yeah, I mean, you see this so often, don't you? Players waving imaginary yellow cards at the referee, and rarely, if ever, does it result in a caution. I'm not surprised to see West Ham the first to get done for that in the games I've seen. Anyway, it may have happened elsewhere, of course. If it has, I haven't seen it so much. But anyway, double booking on 16 minutes. It's West Ham United 1, Newcastle 0 in the 18th minute now. Newcastle with the ball some 40 yards from West Ham's goal. Just playing the ball across. Ward-Prowse chase as well. Nips in, wins the ball, and that's a trip. And I think that's another. It's going to be another yellow card. It should be for Guimaraes. And why is he not off? He's just been booked. Now, that is no different from the previous challenge. Ward-Prowse is away. Guimaraes trips in deliberately to stop him breaking away. Now, Kurt Zuma's in there making that point. David Moyes is saying the same. I don't think Guimaraes is going to get a yellow card, but the challenge is no different to the first one that you saw in caution. So by rights, he should be gone. Kieran Trippier's in there. He's received a warning from the referee, but it's exactly the same. I mean, Ward-Prowse gets the ball, just brings him down. It's a yellow card all day long. It's a yellow card all day long. Guimaraes has got away with that. The referee has bottled that, absolutely bottled it, because it's early in the game and he doesn't want to send off a high-profile Newcastle player. That's what it comes down to. And I think West Ham, yet again, have been done. But anyway, obviously Guimaraes is going to be on a tightrope now. The referee can't ignore any more similar transgressions of that nature. So, well, we'll see what happens. But he should be off. No question, he should be off the pitch for me. What do you think? Do you think it was a yellow card? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think the referee did the right thing there by cautioning or just having a word with the player and basically saying no more? What do you think? Let us know. First real controversial moment of the game. Peter Banks, of course, is today's referee. And Peter, quite frankly, that last decision of yours was a load of old Banks, if you don't mind me saying so. But yeah. West Ham leading anyway, just coming up to 20 minutes. West Ham leading by a goal to nil. Craven saying Spurs player did it against Liverpool last week, waved a card and wasn't booked. There you go. That kind of supports my my theory that it always seems to be West Ham. Craven also agreeing, saying I despise cheating. I slated Lanzini for the dive at Stoke. And Steve Palmer says off. I presume Steve agreeing with my summary that Guimaraes is very, very lucky to still be on the field. Especially when Emerson was booked, for just waving around a yellow card, a far less naughty offence than, deliberately bringing someone down to stop them surging further up the field and presumably trying to prevent a goal. But anyway, yeah, if Bruno scores now, says Craven, yeah, exactly. You can imagine what the reaction is going to be like, and that's just from us lot here. But you can see it, can't you? That's the sort of thing that happens. Steve Palmer says someone got a yellow for it in the earlier women's game. Yes, Steve, you're right. I was just watching that. It was there was also a very straight. I don't know if it was the same game you're talking about, Man City game. There was someone sent off for time wasting. already been booked. One of the Man City defenders was waiting to take a free kick. Was genuinely not time wasted from what I could see. Was looking for a player to pass to, and took too long. The referee issued a second yellow. It was off. Ball played into the box by Paquetá. Rebounds off a Newcastle defender and kicked out. But West Ham regained possession. It's Emerson on the ball inside Newcastle's half. The Hammers pushing pretty high. This is good stuff from West Ham. I imagine the fans will be the fans at the stadium will be fairly happy with what they've seen so far. The Hammers looking to get for it. So brilliant ball, raking pass to Soufal from Paquetá, sent back into the box. Decent delivery, just too long for Souček and Antonio, who was stationed inside or on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's just gone past them, and Newcastle managed to clear up. West Ham really pushing high. We've got 9 West Ham players in Newcastle's half, and this is a problem here because West Ham have managed to get some bodies back. We just had to be careful there for a brief moment because Newcastle managed to get behind West Ham. They're not unlike that moment last year. I think it was Joe Linton, wasn't it, who scored the ball? Ball played straight through. And managed to get behind West Ham. But anyway, Trippier's got behind West Ham for the first time, I think, this afternoon. Newcastle managed to work the ball out onto the right-hand side, and Trippier's got behind the defence. But his cross is easy for Alphonse Areola, who is 3 yards from his goal line when he takes that. So again, I think that's something West Ham have been looking at, those crosses coming in from the flanks from Trippier and his opposite number, Shah, is it? We are, as the commentator on TV has just mentioned, we are exactly at the halfway point of the first half. West Ham 1-0. Trippier with the ball again for Newcastle on that right-hand side, up against Paquetá. Plays the ball into the channel in front of him, but they're offside. And a big cheer goes up from the home fans. And West Ham have a free kick. Lovely control from Soufal to keep that ball in place. As Steve Palm. Yes, it was, wasn't it? Great stuff. And brilliant to see Vladimir on tip-top form so far this season. Been playing really well, hasn't he? Got himself a couple of assists. Quick shot of Callum Wilson on the bench. Of course, West Ham's nemesis, really, in seasons gone by. One of those to add with the likes of Ricardo Fuller and Wayne Rooney and players like that who always seem to score against West Ham whenever they played us. Alphonse Areola takes the free kick, launches it into Newcastle's half. And the ball drops to, it's a free kick to West Ham. It's a head injury to Paquetá. He's holding the left side of his face, which probably means he wasn't even touched, but we'll have another look at that hopefully in a second. I think it's Lascelles who was instrumental in putting him on the deck, but Paquetá's got a sore left ear or something, but just checking to make sure it's all there. Let's have another look. Paquetá going up for the header with Lascelles, and Lascelles actually just puts his arm out into the side of his face. He's not hurt. He's not hurt. It's a free kick. Can't put your hands up there, but no need for the play acting. Mr. Paquetá, let's get on with the game. West Ham will do that with Paquetá. And James Ward-Prowse over the voice on the left-hand touchline, where what's that, 1, 2, 3, so it's about 35, 36 yards from goal on the left-hand side for West Ham. Likes of Kurt Zouma, again, go up into the box. An swing up from Ward-Prowse, gets up, and it's only just headed out for a corner, but it almost inadvertently headed, I think, was that Byrne? Headed it, almost inadvertently headed into the path of Jared Bowen, who stretched out a leg, but just couldn't reach it, and happily accepts the corner instead, which James Ward-Prowse trots over to take. It's from West Ham's left-hand side. Lukaku as well, Craven. Yes, indeed. Always scored, didn't he? I'll come back to your next question, buddy, in just a second after this corner is taken. Mickey Antonio calls in mischief for mayhem underneath Nick Pope in the box there, along with Kurt Zouma. On the front post is Tommy Souček looking for that flick on. It's delivered deep by West Ham. Pope punches it, not very convincingly. Comes to the edge of the box where Alvarez goes up for a header and he's penalised for a foul. I have no idea why that was given, because both players went up for a header. There's nothing in it. Let's have another look. Absolute nonsense. I don't think there's anything in that. Let's have another look. Pope punch is clear. That's all right. Everything's okay there. Let's have a look. No, there's absolutely nothing in there. I have no idea why Banks has penalised Alvarez there. So another very, very strange decision from the referee, who, as I speak, gives another free kick to Newcastle. This time it's Tommy Souček, penalised for pushing over the player. I think the referee might have been right on that occasion, but we'll let him have that one. He's got the last couple wrong, by the looks of it. But yeah, it's all good for West Ham at the moment. Totally, Jimmy, how are you watching it? like this, Jim, like this. If you mean where are we getting a stream, have a look on the kumb.com general discussion forum. You'll find a thread there which may help you and give you the information you require. Illness, Craven, asking about Konstantinos Mavropanos, aka Dinos, out due to the protocol of his head clash. Dan B confirmed that he's ill. I didn't actually know that, so thank you, Dan, for clearing that up for me as well. 26 minutes gone. Ball in the centre circle, played out a touch for a West Ham throw-in. Got to say, Newcastle have, and this might be the kiss of death. I'm touching lots of wood as I say this, but West Ham haven't really been threatened by Newcastle this afternoon. Emerson with the ball on the left-hand side. It's a lovely little dink over the top, looking for Mickey Antonio, who just can't get behind the last defender and ends up running straight into Nick Pope and the defender who he takes down. Both players are... I mean, Cher and Antonio. Cher's saying, why did you do that? You didn't need to. Antonio saying, well, I was going for the ball. Both players seem to have taken a little bit of a knock there, but let's have another little look. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Charles just run across Antonio and stopped and put the brakes on, and Antonio's gone over him. I mean, what do you expect if you go and stand in front of someone and he was running full pelt towards you? Mickey Antonio's got every right to go for that ball and did so. 27 minutes gone. Newcastle with the ball in the centre circle. Now, can they spring forward quickly? James Ward-Prowse goes to make a challenge, doesn't manage to intercept the ball, and the ball played out on the left-hand side to Isaac, the number 14. Anderson with the ball just to the left of West Ham's penalty box, looking for options. Plays it to Guimaraes, who plays it back to Anderson. Cross delivered in from the left. I have absolutely no idea who that's to, because well, I think they're looking for the area where they're expecting Trippier or other players to come into it. Tonali it was who played the ball in, actually. They're not Guimaraes. Curled one to the far side of the penalty box, and it's just drifted straight out for a goal kick. Nearly hit Lucas Paquetá on the back of the head, but he managed to get out the way. And yeah, goal kick for West Ham. Newcastle at 6s and 7s, not quite getting their passes right at the moment, which is great for West Ham, of course, who lead. 28 minutes gone of the clock. Not had a lot of goal mouth action really in the game so far. I've got one shot on my list so far for the opening 28 minutes of the game, so not exactly flowing with chances this one at the moment. Now West Ham have conceded possession. I think it's Emerson who's given the ball away. Newcastle breaking on the right hand side. Almiron turns, shoots, tries to whip one in. That's the closest they've come so far. Whipping a curling effort towards the left hand post. Alphonse Areola briefly troubled, stepped across, but didn't have to worry too much because he watched the ball sail wide of his right hand post to ensure West Ham have another goal kick. Let's have a look from that angle. Yeah, it's not actually too far wide. It's only about 2 or 3 feet high and to the left of the goal, so not a million miles away from Almiron, who of course is in superb form this season for the Magpies after having taken a while to find his station there. Now, problem for West Ham. Lucas Paquetá is on the ground, feeling his back. Now let's have a look. Was it? Yeah, Trippier is just. I mean, that's again. This is another naughty one. Paquetá's up in the air, going for the header, and Trippier, who doesn't jump for the header, just comes into the back of Paquetá, just pushes him in the lower back, which of course, you know, when you're jumping up, you can imagine, just throws you out, and it's an awkward fall for Paquetá, who's remonstrating with the referee about it, and by right he should, because that was a naughty one. I seem to be out of focus again. I'll try and get that back in a second. Do apologise. Let's put this back on auto focus. But anyway, technical issues aside, it's still West Ham leading by a goal to nil. We're into the final 15 minutes of the second half, third of the way into the game now. West Ham really not awfully troubled by Newcastle so far. which is good. Now, Lascelles coming forward has just been tripped by Paquetá. There's not a lot in it. He's late. I don't think Paquetá's been booked. Again, like Guimaraes, he's long-standing friend before him. Probably a little bit lucky to avoid a booking. Now, that's very interesting. Now, we've just seen Alvarez do exactly what Emerson got booked for. He's remonstrated with the referee, asking for a yellow card to be given. And there we go, back in focus. And I don't think he's been booked for it. So if that's the case, then that's a shocker from Banks. But anyway, free kick quickly taken. Newcastle going close, actually. It's played from the right-hand side, into the edge of the penalty box. And I can't even tell you who it is, because I just, as I said, these numbers are awful. You can't see them. I'm thinking I'm looking at a 5. I can't see. I really don't know. Burn, maybe, who had the header. I do apologise for the quality of the comms this afternoon, but it's impossible. As I said, you cannot see the Newcastle numbers on the back of their shirts. So we're trying to guess who's on the ball every time they get it, apart from the ones that are fortunate enough to know. So yeah, just hearing confirmation on the comms on the TV that Almiron was indeed doing exactly the same thing that Emerson got booked for, asking for a caution to be given, and there's no comeback. So yeah, annoying, frustrating. "33 minutes on the clock. Newcastle with the ball inside their own half. Playing the ball, short passing in that very busy centre circle. Jason Prowse comes in, nicks the ball away from the Newcastle player, finds Jared Bowen, who is tripped again. And that's another one where Jared Bowen, and that's Guimaraes again, I think. How many times is he going to get away with it? No, is it Guimaraes? No, sorry, I do apologise. It's not Guimaraes. It's Almiron. Yeah, it's Almiron who trips the player. And Almiron, who was asking for a card for Paquetá a few moments ago, was very, very fortunate not to be booked himself there. At least I don't think he's been booked. Haven't seen a card issued. But Peter Banks has got to get a hold of this game. He's terribly inconsistent so far. Yeah, it's not a great half, the officials so far. Anyway, Newcastle with the ball again inside their own half. Vladi Soufal pushes up to Isak to try and win the ball, gets beaten. Antonio trips Isak. Now that will be, I'm sure that, yeah, no, of course it is. Of course it is. Antonio does it and a card comes out. No different to the challenges from Almiron, no different to the challenge from Guimaraes. Antonio is booked. Banks, you're a Burke. You're having an absolute nightmare today. Let's have another look at this. Yeah, Antonio claimed he got a bit of the ball there. I'm not so sure he did, but let's have another look at this angle from the other side. No, I don't think he did. It's a trip. I mean, I don't disagree that it's a yellow card offence, but if you're going to give a yellow card for that, you have to be consistent. You have to give a yellow card to Almiron. You have to give a yellow card to Guimaraes. Oh, a red card for Guimaraes because he's already been booked. So kind of the referee's really made a rod for his own back here already by making that early decision to book Guimaraes and Emerson in the 16th minute. But yeah. Silly one really for Antonio to take, because the ball's in the centre circle. Isak was going, no, he's just going across the field. Probably just about to lay the player off to a teammate, and as I said, really going nowhere. But anyway, West Ham still ahead. That's good. Just coming up to 36 minutes gone. Don't forget, if you're enjoying what you seeing this afternoon, if you'd like the stream, if you want to give us a bit of help, just underneath me there, just like down there somewhere, there's a, no, not there, there's thumbs down, thumbs up buttons. Please give us a little thumbs up if you're enjoying what you see. Told it helps the stream. Thank you very much. Isaac again, beginning to look dangerous on the left hand side, plays it short. That's a poor ball back to him, and Ward-Prowse comes in with, I think that's his third interception already this half, and his attempted pass down the line is intercepted, or not intercepted, he's blocked, and West Ham have a throw in right by their corner flag on the right hand side. Vladdy Soufal, I think, is going to take this one. So just to confirm, Guimaraes in the book for Newcastle, Emerson and Antonio cautioned for West Ham already. Souček tries to play the ball out, little 1-2 with Paquetá, who goes down under the challenge from Fabian Schär and wins a throw-in. Now, Dan Burns having a word with Paquetá, not quite sure what he's saying, but Paquetá laughs in response, so sharing some kind of joke there. The two players, not quite sure what it was about, but anyway, West Ham with the throw. Vladdy Soufal takes it to Paquetá, who looks to switch the ball to Emerson. It's a poor pass, but Emerson manages to get up and head it into the box, but it's cleared by a Newcastle player. And Kurt Zouma has the ball now. Plays it short to Vladdy Soufal, who goes all the way back to Alphonse Areola, closed down by a Newcastle player, so he launches it long, straight back into Newcastle half, where Paquetá has got acres of space to pick it up. Plays it into the channel, Mickey Antonio into the box. Still on his feet. Sure, it's unfortunate. Two players on Antonio. Still got the ball right by the touchline. Now, the referee has got the flag up. I'm not quite sure what for. The ball, I don't think the ball went out of play. The linesman, sorry. Let's have another look here. Now, was that Antonio offside initially? Well, he's been called offside, but there's no way he's offside. He's completely in line. The linesman's got a perfect view. It's right in front of him. And he's given offside, and there is no way Antonio was offside. So the officials are having an absolute nightmare here, all round, by the looks of it this afternoon. Yeah. Disappointing, really disappointing. Picked up by Leonard Brook, who says, sorry, Leonard, for calling you Lenny. Leonard says that's two Newcastle players that should have had two yellows. I guess we should be welcome to the moneyed Super League teams where it's one rule for them and another for the rest of us. Can't argue with that, Leonard. Pretty good summary of what we've seen so far. There has been a goal elsewhere in the Premier League this afternoon. It's come from Simon Adingra. Simon who, I hear you say? Simon Adingra scored for Brighton at the Amex Stadium after 20 minutes. They lead 1-0 against Liverpool. The only goal elsewhere, Wolves and Villa, that Midlands derby. Still goalless. Cross comes in from the left-hand side from Newcastle. Alphonse Areola goes to pick it up, but Kurt Zouma decides to put a foot out and send it into touch in front of him. Not sure Areola was that pleased at the interception, but it's the captain. Captain's role. Take control. If you're not sure, take control. You've done the right thing. Newcastle with the throw-in, taken short, still on the left-hand side. Now, chance for a cross coming in from the left. It's a decent cross in, delivered to the far post, but the header comes in, but it's loops up into the air, and Areola can come and claim that with no pressure whatsoever. Newcastle really not able to get their shooting boots on this afternoon, which is great for West Ham so far. Haven't really threatened us at all. And long may it stay that way. Hope I presume referring to the incident a few moments ago with Antonio, that's not offside. Yeah, absolutely right. Hope he wasn't, was he? Clearly in line, clearly being played on. And yeah, not had the run of the green so far as refereeing decisions go, and I'd expect David Moyes to be knocking on the referee's door at half-time for a quick word. But anyway, James Ward-Prowse with the ball, plays it short to Paquetá, turns, faces goal. Can he play Antonio in? Looks to play him in, but slightly just the wrong ball. But West Ham have it again. Ward-Prowse out on the left to Emerson, who's just outside the penalty box, plays it back to Paquetá, who's absolutely everywhere for West Ham this afternoon. Paquetá coming back again to Aguerd, who plays it all the way back to the halfway line. To Alvarez, who plays it all the way back to Aguerd on the halfway line. And it's back with Emerson, back with Areola, who launches it long. I do apologise. I'm having a nightmare with names this afternoon. I think it's one of the result of not being able to see anything in terms of the Newcastle players. Can't tell who's who, which is frustrating, but there you go. Where are we? 40 minutes gone. Final 5 minutes of the first half. West Ham still leading by 1-0. The goal coming after just 9 minutes from Thomas Souček. A tap in after Emerson had rounded Nick Pope on the left-hand side. Newcastle with the ball in just inside West Ham's half. Guimaraes plays it short. And it's Trippier back to Guimaraes on the edge of the box. Looks to get in the box, plays it across the box. And it's another one of those passes that's just drifted straight out into touch and behind for a West Ham goal kick. No idea what Newcastle were doing this afternoon, but it's just plainly not working out for them out there. And yeah, Eddie Howe cutting a bit of a frustrated figure. It's his turn now to look a bit disappointed, shall we say, with the way things are going out there. David Moyes, deep in conversation with Billy McKinley on the touchline, just having a chat about what they can do to improve things, where they see a few issues, something perhaps for the halftime team talk there that they're discussing. But they've got it bang on so far. Newcastle really haven't posed much of a threat to West Ham to this point in the game, and that's clearly down to the way that the team have been drilled and the way they're playing, which is pretty well so far. West Ham not sitting back, not content to just let Newcastle control the game. This is a slightly different West Ham we're seeing out here today, or at least it is in this half. I expect, of course, if it stays like this as the game pushes on into the last 20, 25 minutes or so, you might see a more defensive West Ham. But for now, it's all good. We're looking to trade blows with Newcastle in the centre of the pitch, but it's the Mags with the ball at the moment, just inside the centre circle now. Good afternoon, a Tribal Spaceman. I'm very well, Mr. Spaceman. Hope you're doing well yourself. Hope you're having a good weekend and enjoying the scoreline so far. Mickey Antonio with the ball on the left, looks to cut inside, buys himself a free kick. Trippier trips him and says, come on, ref, there wasn't anything in that. And he's probably right. As I said, it was bought by Antonio. But yeah, as Alf says, it's another Trippier foul. They're beginning to mount up, as are all of Newcastle's fouls. But, you know, if Peter Banks has let them get away with it, then I expect they'll continue to commit them. Long ball played out to Vladis Soufal. Great touch, brings it down under control. No one in front of him, so comes all the way back and looks for Kurt Zouma. Zouma plays it out to Paquetá. It's a really good ball. And Paquetá managed to shrug off his player. Still has the ball right on the touchline. Keeps it in play. Does really well to keep it in play. Emerson short to Bowen. Bowen outside of the foot. Coves one in to the 6-yard box, but it's just ahead of Mickey Antonio and Tommy Souček, who can't quite get there. Good stuff. But Alvarez wins the ball again. Newcastle wanted a free kick. No way. You're not going to get a free kick for that one, son. Here he is again, Alvarez, with the ball. Good to see him. I haven't seen him go to ground once this afternoon, which is pretty good. You know, I've said for the last few weeks, I sense that we've got a bit of a problem there with Alvarez. The fact that he does go to ground so frequently, I think that's something that Moyes is going to have to work on him with. Of course, he's had 5 yellow cards already this season, 4 in the Premier League, and another one on Thursday night in Germany. Of course, you don't get a ban for cards in all competitions. There have to be 5 domestically, or I think, is it 3? I think in Europe, maybe 2. I think it's 3. But anyway, that's why we are where we are. Alvarez goes to ground as I speak, but necessarily to win the ball. West Ham work it out to Soufal on the left. Can he get a cross in? He can indeed. Antonio looks to go up, but Newcastle have 3 men stationed in the 6-yard box, preventing that cross from finding its target. The ball hooked clear by Tonoli, but only as far as Kurt Zouma on West Ham's halfway line. He hooks it back down the line, but that's going to be a throw into Newcastle. So West Ham will look good. How are you enjoying West Ham this afternoon? Are you happy with the way we're playing, folks? Are you enjoying the performance? You're happy to see us, pushing Newcastle up a little bit, rather than sit deep, as we may have done traditionally against 1 or 2 of the so-called perceived bigger teams in the division, as was the case against Liverpool and Man City. Not happening today, is it? West Ham, exchanging blows, as I said, and have been the better team so far in this first half. I think it's fair to say. But it's Newcastle with the ball. 45 minutes gone. We're into added on time at the end of this first half. I'm not quite sure how long we've got added on. I haven't seen the fourth official put his flag up. There it is. Confirmation via TV. 2 minutes added on. Now, can West Ham hang on to this lead until half time? It's Isak with the ball on the left-hand side. Short to Guimaraes. Guimaraes looks for options. Has to go back as he's challenged by his good friend Lucas Paquetá. Newcastle still with the ball, 45 yards from goal, played out onto the right-hand side to Almiron. Almiron comes back inside. Newcastle trying to work a shot. West Ham block. Newcastle win the ball back on the edge of the box. Very, very busy on the edge of the box. Isak with the ball, but tackled well by Paquetá, who wins the ball back and looks to turn his man. Tries to do a little back flick. It doesn't come off, and Paquetá's thrown himself to the ground. It wasn't hurt. Trying to buy a free kick. And this could be dangerous. Newcastle into the box. But Aguerd manages to mop up, and that's brilliant. Aguerd's just surged past three players. He's now in the opposite half, still going forward. That's really appreciated by the crowd, but no one making runs in front of him. What a shame. Tries to play it down the channel to Ward-Prowse. Finds Ward-Prowse to the left-hand side of the box. Ward-Prowse has lost out to Trippier, though, and Trippier allows the ball to go out for a goal kick to Newcastle. The two players give each other a little slap on the back, appreciating the effort each other put into that challenge, and the fact that it was all good-natured and just a good tussle, really good, enjoyable physical tussle that both were involved in. But anyway, Newcastle with the ball, where 46-42, about 16 seconds left of the two added on by the fourth official. Looks like West Ham are going to be good to go into the half-time, ahead. And there it is, 46. Is that half-time? Yeah. 46-58, a couple of seconds short of the 2 minutes added on, but that is half-time. Peter Banks blows for the interval. West Ham go into the break, leading by 1-0. The only goal of the first half coming from Thomas Souček after just 9 minutes. The assist coming from Emerson, who went round Nick Pope on the left-hand side, pulled the ball square across the box to Tommy Souček, who once again got him into one of those advanced positions we've been seeing him in a lot lately, and simple tap into an empty net. Now, just seen Vladdy Soufal remonstrating with referee Banks and his crew as they trot off. Soufal shaking his head in disappointment at something he's been told. Hopefully Vladdy Soufal is speaking for the rest of us when maybe pointing out the fact that Guimaraes should have been sent off in the first half. Almiron should have been booked. Once possibly for asking for another player to be booked, and then for tripping Bowen 2 minutes later. So, you look at it that way. Newcastle could really be ending this half with only 9 men if Banks had done his job properly. But there you go. In the end, it's one booking for Newcastle, Guimaraes, and 2 for West Ham, Emerson and Antonio. As we said, Emerson was booked for asking for a yellow card, something that Almiron repeated 16 minutes later and got away with. Antonio booked for a trip on Isak, which is exactly what Almiron and Guimaraes did 15 minutes or so earlier, and both got away with, but Antonio booked. So, if I was David Moyes, I'd be pretty furious at what I've seen from the officials in the first half. Then, of course, West Ham breaking late on. Mickey Antonio put through into the box, got into a really good position, didn't get shot away, worked his way to the byline. So West Ham still had the ball, and the referee's official called up for an offside that, again, never was offside. Quite clearly, Antonio was played onside. So the officials have had a bit of a mare in that first half. Fortunately, it hasn't cost West Ham yet, but I'd like to think that someone from West Ham is going to go and have a word with Mr. Banks and just ask him to keep an eye on those decisions in the second half, because he's made too many wrong ones so far. Match stats in that first half. I was quite surprised at this, actually, because I thought West Ham saw a lot more of the ball than is being indicated. But according to the BBC, possession-wise, West Ham have had 29% of the ball, only 29%. Newcastle, the remaining 71%. Which doesn't seem to reflect the game I've been watching. But anyway, that's where we are. West Ham one shot in that first half. It was also on target, and it was also a goal. Newcastle, meanwhile, have conjured up just 3 efforts themselves without finding the target at all yet. West Ham 1 corner, Newcastle none. West Ham have committed 7 fouls to Newcastle's 8. Well, actually, it's been quite a few more than that, but that's all that the referee has awarded. You look at those stats, it doesn't make for much of a spectacle, you'd think, but I think it's been quite an enjoyable first half. I quite enjoyed it. It was, not too many clear-cut chances, but West Ham pushing Newcastle a little further forward than perhaps Eddie Howe and his team might have expected coming here, having seen West Ham sit deep against the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea already this season at home, certainly away, the likes of Brighton. But it's not paid off for Newcastle. Whatever it is they're doing, it hasn't worked. So it's back to the drawing board for Eddie Howe, and maybe time for a plan B. Whereas for David Moyes, it's very much just keep doing what you're doing, I would say. Because West Ham have been good. I've enjoyed watching us play that first half, 29% possession or not, and only 1 shot a goal or not. We've played some nice football. Lucas Paquetá has been at the heart of it all. Again, I find myself being disappointed by Paquetá's mock injury, pretending to be hurt simply because he lost the ball in a really dangerous position. Could have cost West Ham with a goal. But I guess that's Lucas Paquetá, and I guess that's why he's playing at West Ham and not at Man City or clubs of that ilk, even though they were, of course, in for him. But it does make you wonder, do you think people like Pep Guardiola or, managers of that caliber would let a player concede possession in areas like that and allow him to carry on playing the team? I don't know. But anyway, he's doing well for West Ham at the moment. That's all that counts. Comments on the first half. Let's have a quick look at what some of you saying, and also we'll dive into the KUMB.com match thread to see what's being said over there about that first half. But Leonard Brooks saying that we need to do more like Liverpool and the other Sky darlings and start kicking up more of a fuss regarding the inconsistencies with regards to refereeing. Sometimes we are just too nice and accepting of our lot. Hobo agreeing with my thoughts about Peter Banks, saying there's been some very, very poor stuff for the referee in the first half. Need to be right on it in the second half. Summarising the opening half, Tony Mitchell says, good half, looking more the team from a few years back and working hard for each other. It would be nice to see some consistency from the referee. And Craven Moorhead adding that Eddie Howe will tear into them so we cannot switch off again straight after half time. Hopefully we've learnt our lesson. Hopefully indeed, Craven, hopefully. Couple of comments on the KUMB.com general discussion forum match thread, West Ham v Newcastle match thread this afternoon. OFT agreeing with the general opinion on the referees. I think just says awful refereeing. Bloody hell, it's doing my head in how teams can get away with stuff that we can't. Talking about Lucas Paquetá, Eastleigh Hammer says Paquetá is doing my head in today. He likes to roll around at the best of times, but he's just spent that 45 minutes mainly throwing himself to the floor. Cut it out, Lucas. You don't need to do it, says Eastleigh Hammer 16. Steve Potts goals reel says we were, of course, it was Stevie, the anniversary, was it not, the other day of Stevie Potts' only ever senior goal for West Ham against today's opponents, funny enough. 1986. I think it was it 86 or 87? 86, I think it was. 8-1 Newcastle. 3 goalkeepers, Peter Beasley, all that sort of stuff. 61 Dixie, continuing on the theme of the poor standard of officiating this afternoon. Dixie says, I'm sure the standard of refereeing has dropped even further this season. How can it be so poor? Surely they regularly go to assessments and training and are rated each week by their associations. They really are dreadful. And it's not just 1 or 2 incidents, it's loads in every game. So yeah, the standard of the of Banks and his team seems to be a common theme throughout. Today, I just chuckled at a post from Sticky on the KUMB forum there. Sticky saying that 12 minutes added on at the end of the first half because Almiron looks like a possessed ventriloquist's doll, which is pretty good. I like that one. Danny Dyer's acting once again. Another comment about the referee says football really makes me properly angry anymore, but that refereeing performance has just done it though. Emerson was rightly booked, but Almiron gets away with it. Himmer is rightly booked, but him and Almiron got away with 2 more of exactly the same challenge. And then Antonio booked for what the other 2 just got away with, which is kind of what I was saying in the first half in a microcosm, I guess. I think we're all seeing that. It's not some inherent bias on our behalf, I don't think. I think that was just poor refereeing all over. Hand the dog again. Almiron should be booked. Trippier should have been booked. We're containing Newcastle well. And on Paquetá, Iron Rhino adding, you can take the boy out of Brazil, but you can't take Brazil out of the boy. He's incredibly talented and equally theatrical. There you go. So, half-time, West Ham United lead Newcastle United by 1-0. Steve Palmer, last word from the first half before I jot off and just take a very, very short break before I come back for the second half. Steve Palmer says there's more a feeling today of players playing for the team and enjoying it. Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Look a lot more well-drilled and content and happy with our football than we certainly were at this time last season when I don't think we'd even got a point on the ball, did we? Or 1 or 2 anyway. at this stage. But yeah, it's looking good so far. West Ham United lead Newcastle 1-0 at the break. I will be taking a short break now, just for a few moments, but I will be back with you in time for the start of the second half, when I hope to continue with the good news. And let's hope West Ham can grab one or two more after the break. I'll be back with you very, very shortly. Right. The players are back out on the pitch, ready for the second half. Quite interestingly, we just saw Kevin Nolan as the players were coming out of the tunnel, just pull Lucas Paquetá to one side and have a quiet word with him. I'm feeling Paquetá didn't look particularly happy about something, but Nolan had a quick chat with him. Tommy Souček was sort of involved for a second, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. But anyway, the second half has kicked off. Newcastle kicking on our screens from left to right. Doesn't really help you, of course, if you haven't got a stream and not watching it. But there you go. Always like to say that. They always used to say that on the TV. Didn't they, back in the day? And then tell you who was playing in the dark shirts and the light shirts. But I'm going back a long time now. Obviously, before some of your time, some of you guys watching us on the stream. Yeah, so West Ham a goal up at half time. Didn't see an awful lot of the ball, according to the possession stats, but certainly putting a decent performance in the first half anyway. Elsewhere in the Premier League, there are two other games. Brighton were beating Liverpool 1-0 when we last checked. The two teams kick off the second half there down at the Amex Stadium with Liverpool 2-1 ahead. Mo Salah scoring twice in the final 5 minutes of the first half for Liverpool to put them 2-1 up at the Amex Stadium, one from the penalty spot. What a surprise. Be interesting to see that one, won't it? Again, Wolves v Aston Villa at Molineux, the big Midlands derby, Black Country versus the Brummies. It's 0-0 so far. But Villa have just about edged that one in terms of shots on target and things like that. But here at the London Olympic Stadium, it's West Ham United 1, Newcastle United 0. The only goal of the match so far come from Thomas Souček after just 9 minutes of the game. Coke does go. Terrible stuff. Chuck it in the bin. West Ham back in possession. Lucas Paquetá on the left-hand side looks to drive into the Newcastle half, but loses the ball to Kieran Trippier. Plays the ball short to Lascelles, and Lascelles plays it down the line. Now, it'd be interesting to see what Newcastle do differently in this second half, because although they saw an awful lot of the ball, they didn't have a single shot on target in the opening half of this match. Only 3 shots altogether, none on target. So they'll certainly need to do something a little bit differently if they're to get back into this game in the second half. Newcastle still with the ball inside the centre circle. 47 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. On my clock, your clock might be slightly differently, but that's what mine's telling me right now. Anyway, Emerson with the ball, picks a pocket of a Newcastle player, plays it to Antonio, to Paquetá, plays it back to Emerson, but Emerson's lost possession and Newcastle turn it over in a dangerous position. Look to get the ball into the box. Now, we haven't seen a pass like that so far. Isaac challenges Soufal for the ball. Soufal goes to ground. West Ham are awarded a free kick by referee Peter Banks, who had a shocking first half, quite frankly. I'm not sure there's anything in that at all, because, again, I think he's got that one on wrong. I think Soufal's leaning into Isaac and just falls over. I didn't see a foul there at all, but anyway, there you go. Peter Banks has had a pretty poor first half. As we said, Newcastle could quite feasibly have 2 players back in the change rooms already. Guimaraes, who was booked, should have gone for a very similar challenge in the 18th minute. And then Almiron also escaped being booked for a late challenge. Professional one, stopping West Ham advancing moments after he was... he got away with asking for the referee for a card to be issued to a West Ham player. Just minutes after Emerson was booked for exactly the same thing. And that's where we are. Not a good performance from referee Peter Banks so far. Newcastle with the ball, 40 yards from goal, and yet again another interception by James Ward-Prowse. I think that's number 4 already today. Of course, this was the thing I personally feared most when we lost Declan Rice, is who is going to be performing that role, who's going to be nipping in, taking the ball off players' feet. Ward-Prowse, to his credit, has done everything perfectly. He's been a very able replacement. Gareth Southgate might not think so, but there you go. If he wants to keep James Ward-Prowse, who are we to argue? It means he's not going to get injured playing international football. But West Ham look to get into the box. Jared Bowen gets into the box, and West Ham earn their second corner of the day as a Newcastle defender, who shall remain nameless, because, as I mentioned the first half, I can't see the players' numbers. Red numbers on the back of black and white stripes are impossible to read. Well, they are on my 27-inch screen anyway. So I can't tell you who it was, but Ward-Prowse trots over to West Ham's right to take our second corner of the game. In the box, Mickey Antonio, Lucas Paquetá scored that towering header in Germany on Wednesday. Thomas Souček, Agerd and Zuma stationed on the penalty spot. They'll be making their runs towards goal in just a second as the ball's delivered. No one on Nick Pope on this one, which is interesting, but here it comes. Drop short, and it comes in. Oh, it's just wide, just wide. That was an interesting free kick. Played low, aimed towards the penalty spot where we didn't even see him. But Edson Alvarez, who starts from about 24 yards out, makes a very, very late run into the box, diving header, and somehow gets through the crowd of bodies in front of him. And Pope's beaten. Pope is beaten. If that's another foot to the right-hand side, that's a goal for West Ham. But unlucky. But the JWP corner causing trouble yet again. Alvarez, of course, still yet to score for his new club since making that move from Ajax in the summer. But he won't come much closer than that because that was a fantastic effort. Definitely something, again, another one that the Hammers have clearly been working on down at Rush Green this week. Newcastle with the ball just inside West Ham's half. Ball sprayed out to the right-hand side to Kieran Trippier, who's about the only Newcastle player I can identify without the need to resort to numbers. Almiron, of course, as well, and he's on the ball, so as long as it stays out here, we'll be all right. Trippier with the ball on the right-hand touchline, plays it inside to Jimenez. Jimenez to Tonoli, inside to Almiron, keeping it very tight on this right-hand side, but getting nowhere. West Ham closing down, making sure that Newcastle got no options in front. In the end, they're forced to come all the way back. Very, very good defending by West Ham. That's how to play without the ball. Now, two very, very solid banks from West Ham in front of the Newcastle player. James Ward-Prowse comes forward comes out of that bank to close down. And now it's Alvarez's turn, but Newcastle still looking to find a gap. West Ham very deep. I think this is going to be spread out to the left-hand side. Indeed, it is. Switched out onto the left-hand side. Jarrod Bowen takes his position against the player, but Newcastle have to come all the way back again. And West Ham defending doggedly, but it's still Newcastle. Kieran Trippier now on the right-hand side. Looks for Almiron. Almiron looks to work his way into the box. He does, but he's out on the right. And in the end, he just runs it straight out into touch. And that is fantastic defending from West Ham. Newcastle just not unlike Chelsea here a few weeks ago, not unlike Brighton down at the Amex just after that. No way through. This is a well-drilled West Ham defence. And if Newcastle are going to get through today, it's going to be a lot more difficult than the last occasion on which they played at the London Olympic Stadium, of course, towards the end of last season when they ran out such convincing victors on that particular day. APD tuning in to tell us he's doing the ironing. APD, ironing on a Sunday while West Ham are playing. Well, why not? I could think of worse things to do while you're watching or listening to the football. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Good to see you on the stream. If you are offering your services, I'm sure there'll be one or two chaps here who'd be very happy to take you up on that offer. Newcastle trying to work the ball into West Ham's box once again, played into the path of Isak, but it's just a bit heavy that pass and goes through to Alphonse Areola. Fortunately for West Ham, Mickey Antonio shoved in the back. That is a free kick. Well done, Peter Banks. You couldn't really get that one wrong. Back of the neck, Antonio stays down. It's Fabian Schär, who's the guilty party there. Yeah, it's a blatant. I mean, and then Schär has the audacity to tell Antonio to get up after he's just shoved him to the ground by putting his arm in the back of his neck. And Antonio is up and he's telling him exactly what he thinks about it. But gives West Ham an opportunity just to get a foot on the ball for a few seconds. Zuma with the free kick looks to play it out to Bowen, but doesn't reach Bowen, and Newcastle get a foot in. Soufal gets a toe in, but it's into no one in particular, and the ball's up in the air. But Souček does well to win it back for West Ham. Ward-Prowse sprays it out to Antonio, who's unusually on the right this time, plays it down the line to Bowen. Now Bowen outside the penalty box looks to play it to Antonio, but just gets taken away from Antonio's foot before he can reach the ball. It's unfortunate. Good turn. That's going to be a free kick. Almiron put to the floor by Alvarez. Alvarez thinks, oh no, here comes another booking. That, of course, would have been his 5th Premier League booking if the referee had decided that warranted a yellow card. But fortunately, on this occasion, Peter Banks says no, even though Almiron hurls himself to the floor theatrically once again. No yellow card. So Alvarez remains on that on that 4-card situation where he's been, of course, one more and he'll get a 1-match suspension. Was, of course, booked in midweek in Germany, but they don't count towards Premier League's figures. 10 minutes gone in this second half. We did, of course, say West Ham have traditionally, or not traditionally, but in recent weeks, started second halves really poorly. And we've managed to navigate the first 10 minutes of this one successfully. So let's hope we can just stick it out and then, hopefully go and grab another 1 or 2 more before the game ends. But Newcastle with the ball really on top at the moment. Scher plays it out left. Still centre of the pitch. Trippier with the ball on the right-hand side now, outside West Ham's area. Plays it inside to Jimenez. Jimenez looking for options. Plays it to Isak, who's now just worked his way into the box. He's going to try and get a shot away. It's a decent cross. It's going to be dangerous. And it's a great save by Alphonse Areola. Best chance of the game for Newcastle. And Areola had to be at full strength to get down low to his left-hand side and tip that ball away. Now, West Ham looking to counter. But Lucas Paquetá is penalised for something. Now, what? I'm not quite sure. Peter Banks has been asked to look at something, I think. But boos ringing out audibly around the London Olympic Stadium. Let's have another look at this chance. It was Isaacson who crossed from the right-hand side of the penalty box. Lovely little dink to the far side. The header came in from the Newcastle player. Dan Burn it was who got up. It was goal bound. The shot was goal, the header was goal bound, but Alphonse Areola managed to get down low to his left and tip it away. Fortunately, there was no Newcastle player standing in front of the keeper who would have been able to tap it in. But free kick given to Newcastle, and this is going to be an equaliser. And I'm not quite sure what happened there, but Newcastle were level. Well, we don't quite know why the free kick was given in the first place. I didn't see that, but Lucas Paquetá was furious about it. The resulting free kick's been lifted from the right-hand side to the edge of the box, and I'm pretty certain it's a West Ham player who's got the touch. Now, the Newcastle, let's have a look. Is he offside? I think West Ham might get away with this. I think Isaacson, no, he's not, because it's a West Ham player who's headed the ball down, I think. Isaacson's in an offside position. It's actually Alvarez who's headed the ball down, but he's in an offside position. VAR are looking at this, and I'm not quite sure why they're looking at this, because I'm working under the assumption that as Alvarez headed the ball down, it's his touch that put Isaacson in play, that the goal should stand. But, well, it's being checked for a possible offside, so maybe not. Let's have a look. The question is whether he's offside when it's played down, but no, it's going to stand. The goal will stand. Now let's have another look. Yeah, I think he's just been played on side by Vladimir Soufal when Alvarez heads it back. But I can tell you it's going to be allowed. I've just seen it come up on Twitter, where a few obviously live responses being a little bit quicker than we are. But anyway, disappointing from West Ham. We defended really well until that point, and hadn't looked under any trouble. Newcastle, had just had their first shot on target seconds before, and there you go. But again, it's questionable. I mean, I'd like to go back to the free kick and just see why it was given, because I know that Lucas Paquetá was furious at the award. Yeah, not that it's going to matter now anyway, because the decision's been made, the goal has been given, and it won't matter. But yeah, it could be another very, very poor Peter Banks decision that's cost West Ham there. But anyway, it's all to play for again. 1-1. Newcastle will fancy their chances now. They've got the bit between their teeth. They've looked strong in the second half, and yet again, West Ham have conceded at, not at the start, not in the opening 5 minutes on this occasion, but 12 minutes into the second half now. So, as was the case on Thursday, as was the case last week, yet again, West Ham unable to keep Newcastle at bay. Another shot comes in from Himaresh this time. We are an hour into the game, 2/3 of the way through. It's West Ham United 1, Newcastle 1. The Hammers leading after just 9 minutes from Tommy Souček, and then Alexander Isak levelling with a close range effort on 57 minutes. Lucas Paquetá with the ball, looks to escape down the left-hand side. Where's he going to put this? Looks for Mickey Antonio. Antonio holds it up, comes back to Souček. Souček, good little ball out to Jarrod Bowen, just outside the box on the right-hand side. Now, can Bowen whip this crossing on his left-hand boot? He does, puts a good cross up. Pope comes out to collect it. Defender takes it off his head. Pope remonstrates with him, but it's okay. They get away with it, but the ball headed back into the Newcastle third of the pitch. But can West Ham regain possession here? That was a bit of a late one there on Tommy Souček, but yet again, Peter Banks says play on. Yeah, you know, we do see some dodgy refereeing performances, but this is up there with the worst of them so far from Peter Banks this afternoon. It's been terrible, absolutely terrible game. Now, Newcastle just outside West Ham's penalty box, looking to work the ball in. A bit more patient now. They've got that leveller. Trips out to Trippier, and it's in, and it's 2. Now, they've been trying to do that. They've been trying to do that all afternoon, and finally, Trippier gets behind Emerson. The ball played across now. Alvarez, I don't know what's going on. It looks like Alvarez has got the simple chance of just heading the ball out, but he leaves it. And now Everson, who's like 2 or 3 yards out. Let's have a look at this. Isak, who's 2 or 3 yards out, just taps it home. Trippier's onside. That's all right. Little volley across. Yeah, I mean, Emerson. Sorry, not Emerson. Alvarez, perhaps been a bit harsh to him there. But I no idea why Alphonse Areola's just allowed the ball to come across. Let's have another look. And then Isaacson's got to tap him from like 2 yards out. It's an absolute shocker from a West Ham perspective. It's not, sorry, and it's not Alvarez, it's Aguerd who doesn't get close enough to get a touch on the ball. But it's such a simple goal. And we were saying it from the start. You can see what Newcastle are trying to do. They're trying to get the ball down the flanks, get behind the fullbacks and just square that ball for a tap in. And there it is. That's where the goals come from. West Ham worked so hard in the first half to keep Newcastle at bay. And 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes have put West Ham in terrible trouble here at home. And it didn't have to be this way. The West Ham have it all to do now. From being ahead and looking comfortable at half-time, now find themselves, haven't even conceded a shot on target, now find ourselves 2-1 down and with a lot of work to do. And I think it's going to be tough from here for West Ham, quite frankly, because Newcastle will now just sit back and look to hit West Ham on the counter, as they did so successfully last season, of course, in that fixture. But West Ham, of course, unbeaten. I'm just trying to see what's okay. Newcastle now on the left-hand side, trying to bring the ball out, just crossing the halfway line. West Ham trotting back, did have numbers forward, just trying to see if the game's taking any clear changes in terms of the way the teams are approaching this now. West Ham obviously pushing a bit more forward. But it's Newcastle with the ball just outside West Ham's box. Hammers just can't get the ball at the moment. Almiron with the ball goes up against Emerson. Checks, comes back. Jimenez tries to whip one in again to Isak, who will be fancying his hat-trick right now with 2 goals to his name in the space of 5 minutes. And West Ham got to be careful here, not to concede another one, because that would be curtains for the Hammers. Great tackle by Paquetá, and again, but just couldn't quite control it and loses the ball. I've just seen a point made by a writer, a journalist on Twitter, Well, we'll come back to that in a second because Burns has the ball for Newcastle on the left, inside the box, plays it short to Isaac. Isaac looks up, plays it back just outside the box. Newcastle still in possession. Patient now. They don't have to do anything urgently. They just keep the ball. And West Ham unable, just can't get the ball at the moment. Newcastle just retaining possession. Yes, the point has been made that Jimenez was involved in both Newcastle goals. There's a chance ball comes to Burn at the far post. The shot comes in, but Soufal is there to block it, and he goes out for Newcastle corner. Jimenez, who should not be on the pitch, should have been sent off after 18 minutes, has played a part in both of those Newcastle goals, indirectly. And it's no surprise. You could tell it was going to happen, couldn't you? Really, but he simply shouldn't be on the pitch, and that's partly, we've got to say it's down to the referee who bottled the decision. Quite frankly, there's no other word for it. Just bottled it. I think saw it was only 18 minutes gone. Thought it'd be too early to send the player off and bottled it. Completely bottled it. Now, West Ham just cannot get the ball at the moment. I think David Moyes is going to have to make some changes fairly urgently. Emerson finally manages to get the ball, plays it short to Alvarez, but he's got to come back and look backwards. And Alvarez has lost the ball. That's criminal. I mean, that's criminal to lose the ball there. Fortunately, Banks has given a free kick. I mean, I think Alvarez must have been having his shirt tugged, but Almiron just came in from the side, nicked the ball off him, and had an open goal ahead of him. But fortunately, on that occasion, Pete Banks did decide to blow the whistle in favour of West Ham. And it's a free kick to the Hammers, some 27 yards from our goal. 66 minutes gone. West Ham United 1, Newcastle United 2. The game completely changing in the space of 5 second half minutes. West Ham yet again unable to hang on to a first half lead. Happened so often already this season. The ball up in the air. Newcastle's a very, very poor clearance, and West Ham will look to get in. Souček gets a boot in and wins the ball. Up goes Mickey Antonio, and that's got to be a handball by Kieran Trippier. Oh, that's outrageous. I mean, that's just outrageous. Antonio went up to Trippier. Trippier felt he'd been unfairly challenged, so grabbed the ball with his hands, and the referee's giving him a free kick. Antonio was perhaps a little bit strong, but it's kind of just indicative of the way the game's gone this afternoon. I think. Now, we've just seen a replay. I'd not seen it before, but the instant that led to the free kick, which led to the Newcastle second goal, it was a foul given against Lucas Paquetá, and it was never a foul. It's just not a foul. So Banks is becoming dangerously close to being charged with taking a brown paper bag here, because this is quite astonishing. The amount of decisions that have gone against West Ham and in favour of Newcastle. All the big decisions, they're just racking up one after the other now. Far be it from me to accuse a referee of being corrupt, but it's no wonder some people do when you look at examples like this today, given absolutely everything of importance to Newcastle. The only sort of free kicks I think it's given West Ham have been in the safe areas, in the centre of the pitch. And West Ham now losing 2-1. I mean, you can't obviously blame the referee entirely for what's happened, but, we've got 11 players out there on the pitch, but it doesn't help. Certainly doesn't help when the opposition should be down to 10, maybe even 9. But anyway, West Ham got 22 minutes to conjure up an equaliser and then perhaps a winning goal. Tommy Souček does well to collect the ball from Jared Bowen in the centre of the pitch, but has to check back. That's another foul by a Newcastle player, but it's play allowed to continue down the channel to Mickey Antonio on the right touchline. Now he goes to the ground under challenge from Byrne. No free kick given, and Newcastle allowed to break away. Now it's an Alvarez complaining to the referee. And in fact, while he's doing that, play is allowed to continue. And now, Paquetá. Not Alvarez. And Paquetá has been booked for complaining. I mean, that's just, I've got to be careful of what I say because, YouTube don't like foul language. But I've just seen Paquetá booked for, I think Banks is saying it's for complaining too much. Paquetá obviously mentioning the foul that led to the goal. but that's just shocking. That's just shocking. This is we're being judged by referees just looking at the colours of the shirts here today, I think, and determining who should be cautioned or not as a consequence of that. It's terrible performance, terrible performance by Banks, and West Ham suffering. But you know, West Ham have got to realise he's not going to change. They need to get down to it and start putting the ball in the back of the net. It's no good, you know, complain the referee's not going to score a goal. Daylight robbery, says Craven. I really hope Moyes comes out and slates the pathetic officiating. Newcastle winning the ball on the edge of West Ham's box. This is dangerous. Ham's got to be careful here. Ball played across square. This is a chance, but it's a poor touch by the Newcastle player who's just over the penalty box and can't work the ball out of his feet. And West Ham managed to get away. Mickey Antonio with the ball throws himself to the floor, and now he's given a free kick. There was steps, no foul there at all. Antonio just checked and threw himself to the floor, and Banks has awarded a free kick. What was I just saying about Banks giving West Ham free kicks in areas that don't count, in and around the centre circle? There's another example. Let's say you give one in the penalty box, Peter Banks, or where it might actually make a difference because you've bottled every single one so far or given it to Newcastle. Yet another one, he's given one to Paquetá inside the centre circle. Paquetá punches the ground in mock delight at being given something by the official. Every right to complain. Now, Kurt Zuma is going to have a word with Peter Banks. Not quite sure what he's talking about. I think Banks is actually telling him that if Paquetá carries on complaining, he's going to receive a second yellow card. Now, if that was to happen, I would expect there to be intense disagreement, shall we say, from the stands, as he's, you know, as the referee's clearly bottled sending off Jimenez, should have sent off Almiron, and now on the verge potentially of sending off Paquetá for complaining about it. West Ham free kick taken quickly, short to Sufolo, puts one into the box, but Nick Pope comes out and claims that. West Ham look like they're about to make a couple of changes. It looks like Kudus and Benrahma might be about to come on. I presume that's going to be for Paquetá, who's going to probably be removed for his own safety, I would imagine, by Moyes. And Mickey Antonio, who, of course, back in the team today, having missed out. Oh, and he's extra, and this could be three. This could be three. He's gone round Areola, and he's hit the post. Oh, West Ham have got away with it. West Ham have got away with it. Isak played in almost an identical goal to the Joe Linton one last season, but West Ham caught with the high line. Isaacson, who's offside, just trots back in. Played onside by Aguerd. He's done it all. He's done the right thing. He's gone round Aguerd, but it's just from an acute angle on the left-hand side. He's taken it with his left boot. He's actually taken it quite wide and hit the post. Done well to hit the post from that angle, but credit to Aguerd, who got back and made sure he was providing an obstruction between the post and the goal. Anyway, if it had been on target, but Newcastle have a corner. The corner comes all the way out to Newcastle player outside the box, put back into the box, and that will be a goal kick, I think, for West Ham. No, another corner's been awarded. Adjudged to Emerson, adjudged to him at the final touch there. Now, no goals elsewhere. Just quickly looking around the Premier League, the other two games, Brighton, Liverpool, still 2-1 to Liverpool as it was at half-time, and Wolves, Villa still waiting for our first goal there. Although saying that, okay, no, we've done a quick refresh because my scores were clearly not bang up to date, and I can see it. Wolves and Villa is now 1-1. Brighton and Liverpool still 2-1. Corner for Newcastle. Chang scoring for Hwang scoring for Wolves, and Pau Torres equalising for Villa. Corner taken, reaches the back post. Souček gets a touch and it heads it out. Now West Ham chance to break. Paquetá looks for Antonio. Antonio's going to chase that, but he's not going to win the ball, and it's played back by the last defender to Nick Pope, who starts a build to build again. Unfortunate West Ham there. I just wonder if Mo Kudus would have been in a better position to be on the end of that one, maybe with a little bit more pace, but he's about to come on, we think, both him and Say Benrahma. Now, we did see at Newcastle, had 3 shots in the first half, none on target. They've had 6 shots in the second half, 3 of which have been on target, including the goal. West Ham have had just 1 shot in the second half that wasn't on target. Here comes Ben Rama and Kudus, as I mentioned a few moments ago. And the players coming off are, as suggested, Mickey Antonio and Tommy Souček. It's a little bit surprising, but thought Paquetá might have been taken off to avoid a potential red card, which he seems to be walking into, but not so. Kept on by David Moyes. My stream seems to have taken a momentary pause, so there we go. We're back on and back up and running now. Yeah, Kudus looks like he's taking up. Is he going to take up that central role? Let's just give it a few seconds, but I think it's going to be a direct swap for Mickey Antonio. Certainly seems to be, yeah. And Ben Rama coming out on the left-hand side, which I think means Paquetá will move back into the centre of the pitch from where I presume David Moyes will hope he'll start to direct a little bit more play. Yeah, that's how we're lining up, I think, at the moment. Looks like Ben Rama and Paquetá will be kind of interchangeable there. I'm not sure. Again, Paquetá might actually have moved up front. We might be looking at a 4-4-2 here, but we'll just check that again in a moment. I mean, Paquetá is the most advanced of West Ham's players at the moment. Almost won the ball there, actually, but it's played back to Nick Pope. And time is beginning to run out for West Ham. There's just 14 minutes of normal time left to go. West Ham trading by 2-1 here at home to Newcastle, having led 1-0 at half-time. Mo Kudus on the ball, plays it short to Emerson on the left-hand side, just inside West Ham's own half, turns back towards his own goal, plays it short to Naif Agurd, who goes all the way back to Alphonse Areola. Leonard Brooks says, I'm totally fed up with this. There's no way we can compete against the referee as well as this Newcastle team. Emerson with the ball on the left, plays it to a little 1-2 with Ben Rama. Looks to check back now. Is that a free kick on the edge of the box? It is. Well. Peter Brooks has given Peter Banks, sorry. Peter Brooks is probably, whoever he is, probably just as good at refereeing based on today's performance. But Peter Banks has given West Ham a free kick right on the cusp of the Newcastle penalty area, just to the left of the D. So ideal for a right footer trying to curl one in over the top, maybe on this one, or even actually you could probably whip in the shot round the wall as a left footer, given this is a fairly central position. Ben Rama is already over the ball, as is James Ward-Prowse, who you would expect to take it from this sort of distance. Even though we've seen side whip, put 1 or 2 in from these areas before, but big chance this for West Ham. Need to make it count. Really need to do something with this. James Ward-Prowse has the ball in his hand, in his left arm, waiting for the referee to sort the ball out. Looks like Alvarez is actually doing that himself at the moment, pushing the Newcastle players back. But Peter Banks is just standing there over the ball. The fans are beginning to get a little bit frustrated. And there he goes. He's finally decided to walk 10 yards back. That took about 45 seconds from the moment, well, probably a little bit longer, from the moment he awarded the free kick to now just walking the ball back. That's taken over 1 minute. That's 1 minute we won't get back when we've only got 14 minutes left to play. So the referee clearly in no hurry to get this free kick taken. I wish I'd marked the moment when this free kick was awarded, just to see how long it is, how much play has passed before it gets taken. The ball is literally in West Ham's court right now, because Ward-Prowse is over the top of it and can take it at his will. I think the referee's blown his whistle now. There you go. So, no, what's he done? Oh, he's giving someone a card. Right, he's now given a yellow card to a Newcastle player for not going back 10 yards. Didn't see who it was. Looked for confirmation in a second. So Ward-Prowse over the ball. Takes a couple of steps backwards. Lets it go. Ward-Prowse! Just over the bar. Just a yard over the bar. But not close enough, unfortunately. Got over the wall, but it's just too close for him to get it down in time. And it's over the bar. West Ham still without a shot on target this half, and only one shot on target in the entire match, which was the goal, which wasn't looking so bad at half time. But you look at those stats now, and you begin to think, you know, Longstaff, confirmation that it was actually Longstaff. Declan Rice, Sean Longstaff, that one, booked for not retreating for the free kick on the referee's advice. Mo Kudus with the ball for West Ham on the halfway line. Comes back to, looks for options, plays it short to Vladimir Soufal. Soufal back into Kudus, who goes all the way back to Zuma, who comes back to Alphonse Areola. West Ham now just 10 minutes left to try and get something out of this game, having led but now being behind. Might as well be Peter Seabrook, says Will Broadrian, talking about the my inability to correctly name the referee. Now, here's Kudus. Little back pass to Alvarez. That's good stuff from Kudus. He finds Ward-Prowse, who comes out on the right-hand side, switching play to Vladimir Soufal. Soufal out to Jared Bowen. West Ham, good play, good possession, looking for an opening. Isn't just there at the moment. Some 30 yards from goal, trying to work an opening. It's now back with Soufal, who's going to lift the ball into the box. That's a poor centre. And it rolls straight through to Nick Pope. Really, really disappointing from the Czech full-back there. Just needed to be a bit patient. But Newcastle about to make a change as well, by the looks of things. Their first change of the afternoon. That'll be a West Ham throwing on the halfway line. Just waiting for that change to be made. I think it's coming now. There it is. So Newcastle's first change, I believe the date's Almiron, who's in for an early bath. And he's been replaced by Murphy, the number 23. So down to the last 8 minutes, West Ham need a goal desperately. There has been a goal from elsewhere in the Premier League. I'll be telling you about that in just a second. Paquetá with the ball, surrounded by 3 Newcastle players, but West Ham keep possession with Benrahma. Does well to get out of a tight corner. And that's a poor pass in by Paquetá, looking for Bowen. But here's Kudus with the ball, 25 yards from goal. Looks for options, decides to come back to Emerson. Emerson to Almiron. Newcastle making it difficult for West Ham. That's a good ball played into the right channel, headed across by Soufal. That's a poor delivery, but he gets the ball back. Newcastle unconvincing, clearing their lines. James Ward-Prowse on the right-hand side, plays it down the channel to Bowen. Bowen looks to turn his man. Cross blocked. Soufal will have a go. His cross also blocked, but West Ham have a corner. Brighton have scored against Liverpool. Lewis Dunker's equalised down at the Amex Stadium. It's now 2-2. Liverpool were a goal behind, led 2 at half time. Mo Salah scoring twice in the last 5 minutes of the first half. And Lewis Dunker's levelled for the Seagulls. It's still 1-1 at Molineux. Wolves, Aston Villa. And West Ham trail 2-1 to Newcastle here at the moment. It's going to be another corner, a third corner for West Ham, coming from the right-hand side this time. James Ward-Prowse delivers. It's an outswinger. Headed out by a Newcastle defender. Comes to nothing. They've defended West Ham's set pieces and free kicks pretty well so far today. Newcastle, Vladimir Soufal sends it back into the box. Looking for Alvarez. It comes all the way to Emerson. Plays it short to Benrahma. Benrahma comes inside to Paquetá. Paquetá tries to lift one in the box to I think that's Zuma actually in the box. I'm quite sure what he's still doing up there, but anyway, comes to nothing. Nick Pope comes out, collects the ball, and Newcastle are still 2-1 ahead. West Ham is not desperate just yet, but it's beginning to get a little bit like that. Disappointed, really. Yet again, West Ham have paid the price for a poor start to the second half, as been the case so many times this season already. It's a real Achilles heel for the club this year. Opening 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the second half. Might have to do a little piece on that for the site later about the amount of times West Ham have conceded, but that's one to consider another time. Still concentrate heavily on this game here. West Ham trailing, 6 minutes left to go. The ball with James Ward-Prowse inside West Ham's own half. Looks up to see what's on. Not a lot is the answer, and he plays a short ball to Vladimir Soufal. Now, Jarrod Bowen plays into the channel to Kudus. This could be interesting. Can Kudus get the ball back? Looks to play it back. It's a good ball back, but there's a defender there rather than side Ben Rama, who's not close enough to get on the end of it. Newcastle with the ball down inside, just to the left of their penalty box. It's going to be Newcastle throwing the ball played off of Vladi Soufal. And here comes West Ham's nemesis, Callum Wilson, who's been out injured or ill for a bit, is coming on for the final 5 minutes or so. I think he's going to replace the goal scorer. I think it's Isak coming off. So it'll be no hat trick for Isak this afternoon, even though he's hit the post as well as scoring twice. And yeah, it's Isak trudging incredibly slowly off the pitch. As we enter the final 5 minutes of normal time. West Ham trailing here still. The co-coms just hearing that Wilson has scored 12 goals in 13 appearances against West Ham in his time at Bournemouth and Newcastle. So, as I was saying, definitely West Ham's nemesis. Kudus with the ball, chests it down, does well, but the ball taken off his toe by a Newcastle player. Ball played down the line for Ben Rama, who wins a throw-in for West Ham. The ball pretty much on the halfway line. "86 minutes gone. Ball played down the left. Header on from Paquetá. He was looking for side Ben Rama, but that's easily dealt with by a Newcastle defender. Ball played into the right-hand channel. And I think Emerson's West Ham having a little bit of difficulty getting it clear, and it's only played as far as a Newcastle player. That's a clever little ball into the box, but Kurt Zouma does well to read it and puts it out to touch for a Newcastle throw-in. The ball at the wrong end of the pitch for West Ham at the moment. The Hammers need to get a foot on the ball. But as it stands, Newcastle on their way to a second important win in 4 days following that 4-1 defeat of Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday night in the Champions League. West Ham winners in Germany on Thursday in the Europa League, but looks like we're going to be falling to another defeat here against the team who started the day below us, of course, in the Premier League table. That's why taking something out of this game is so important for West Ham. Really, really need to at least get a draw if we can't take the win this afternoon. But as it stands, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. West Ham in deep, deep trouble here at the moment. Lucas Paquetá looks to play the ball across the pitch, but instead just gives it away as he does it so frequently. Really, he's capable of giving the ball away, isn't he? In dangerous areas. That's a handball. I mean, that should be a yellow card. Now, I can't believe that's not been given. Surely that was a handball by a Newcastle player on the halfway line, but the referee won't play on. West Ham have the ball anyway, but I'm convinced that was a handball, but perhaps not. We'll give referee Banks the benefit of the doubt, seeing he's about 180 miles closer to the action than I am as things stand. 88 minutes gone, getting close to added on time. West Ham with the ball, but it's in our own half. We're not going to be able to hurt anyone from here. But hang on, what's this? Now, ball played across. Kudus, edge of the box. Kudus strikes. 2-2. That's the one we wanted. West Ham are level, and Mo Kudus has done it for West Ham. The substitute comes on, and that could be a huge, huge point for West Ham at the end of the season. What a strike that is from Kudus, and West Ham getting their just desserts because we really don't deserve to be behind on balance of play. But that's a super strike, but Mo Kudus picks it up. It was Kurt Zouma, plays it in his own half out to Vladi Soufal on the right-hand side. Soufal surging down the line, unchallenged, plays it back across the area to Kudus, who strikes it with his left foot, strikes it into the ground, and it's low into the bottom right-hand corner. Pope diving, but just can't get across in time. And that's a great goal by Kudus. And another assist for Vladimir Soufal, who's racking them up. I think that's number 4 or number 5 already this season for Soufal, who got 1 assist in the entirety of last season. So West Ham back on level terms. Now, can we go and win this game? Could there be a winner? Who knows? But just goes to show how easy it is. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4 passes from our own half to the back of the net. But great finish from Kudus, and that's 2-2. Now, can West Ham go on and win this game? I suspect Newcastle might not be particularly keen to push on and grab a winner at this point, but you never know. You never know. There's still time. 15 seconds of normal time left remaining. Then we've got added on time. What have we had? 1, 2, about 6 subs. So that should be 3 minutes minimum added on time. Injuries, we haven't had any injuries, have we? So I would suggest 3 minutes is going to be added on, but we'll find out in just a second. I haven't seen it indicated yet. We are in added on time, but we're still waiting to see how much of it there is to be. West Ham with the ball. Kudus again inside Newcastle's half. Does really well. Turns on the ball. Still has possession. Lays it out to his left to Alvarez. It's West Ham now who are looking for the winning goal, not Newcastle. Newcastle numbers back and the Hammers pushing on. Now the crowd fully behind the Hammers, played by Ward-Prowse into Kudus, who plays it out wide to Bowen. Now can Bowen get into the box, cuts inside. Bowen will shoot across goal. Oh, and how's that not gone in? How has that not gone in from Alvarez? West Ham should be ahead. West Ham should be 3-2 up. Oh, that's unbelievable. The ball played across. It was Kudus who played it out wide to Bowen. He cut back and into the box. I think it was a shot. And I'm not sure if Pope gets a finger to it. Let's have another look at this. Yeah, I think Pope gets something on it, kind of slows it down, and not Alvarez, it's Benrahma who's like an inch away from the ball. But yeah, the keeper obviously got something on it because James Ward-Prowse is going to be taking the corner. 6 minutes added on. James Ward-Prowse with the corner, delivered. Pope unconvincingly punches clear, only as far as Ward-Prowse again. Puts one into the box. Good delivery. Pope punches again, not convincingly, down into the ground, but Newcastle managed to hook it clear. The visitors are all at sea at the moment. It's all West Ham now as we look for a goal that would win this game. What a goal it would be if we could get it. What a turnaround. It's been a really good game so far, but West Ham heading for just a point at the moment. West Ham with a free kick, with a throw-in on the halfway line. What a chance that was, though, for West Ham. Never get closer than that. Now, Paquetá with the ball, but the linesman's got his flag up, presumably for offside. The fans behind him are asking why and how, but it's been given. Now, it's going to be another change for Newcastle here. In the third. Now, Anderson is on the pitch for Newcastle. He's replacing, Anderson is off the pitch for Newcastle. He's replaced by Target. And it's a cauldron of noise now at the London Olympic Stadium. The Hammers fans getting fully behind their team as we go looking for what a few minutes ago certainly seemed like an unlikely winning goal when the Hammers were desperate to get back into this game, which they've managed to do. Which is the least they deserve, I think, to be fair, given what's happened out there today. Alvarez hooks the ball forward, looking for Benrahma. Excuse me, Benrahma can't win the aerial challenge, and the ball is headed back to Nick Pope, who, not unsurprisingly, waves his players forward and just holds onto the ball for as long as he possibly can, and then throws it to the ground so he can kick it out and waste a few more seconds. Final 3 minutes of added on time. I'm quite sure where the 6 minutes came from. It's a lot of added on time, but West Ham will have a free kick, a foul on Kurt Zouma, who's sent to the floor by Callum Wilson, who's barely touched the ball. But what an impact Mo Kudus has made today. On as a substitute after 76 minutes and scoring West Ham's leveller 13 minutes later. And that's put the home fans into good voice because it's a great atmosphere. Everyone clapping at the London Olympic Stadium, trying to, hoping that West Ham can go on and grab this unlikely winner. Well, here's Paquetá, plays it into Bowen, who tries to get into the box, but just has the ball taken off his foot by Fabian Schär. But West Ham can win the ball back, and Bowen's got it again, does really well. Plays it short for Ward-Prowse, who lifts one into the box, but Pope is going to deal with that, comes out, grabs it, and the danger is averted for now, at least. Anyway, last 2 minutes of an enthralling, enticing encounter here between the two Uniteds. West Ham 2, Newcastle 2, as things stand. West Ham led 1-0 early in the first half. Newcastle 2 goals in 5 minutes, put them back in command And then West Ham levelled in the final minute, 89th minute, Mo Kudus. West Ham now given a free kick when it looked like it was a Newcastle free kick, which just really sums up Peter Banks' afternoon. He has had an absolute shocker. Clearly the worst performance we've seen by a match official so far this season. Been absolutely terrible. Should have sent 2 Newcastle players off, in my view. I'm probably quite biased, but I think there's a very, very good argument to be made, at least for one. That's a push in the back on Paquetá and not given. It's a clear shove in the back and not given. It does make you wonder where they get these referees from. It really does. Newcastle can't clear the lines. West Ham harrying them inside their own half. We've got to be careful here. Don't push forward and get caught out. Newcastle managed to work the ball out of that area, and now they're in West Ham's half. That would be a throw-in for Newcastle. And Alvarez is now penalised for fouling the Italian, who, as Italians often do, throws himself to the floor and grabs his ankle like he's desperately injured. It's Tamale. Alvarez did break his leg a little bit, but unless you've got shin pads on, son, that's not going to hurt you, Tonali, because he's touched you right at the front of the shin where your pad is. So don't go down clutching the back of your ankle, you cheating bastard. But all that's done is allow another 60 to 90 seconds pass, and we're in the final 30 seconds now. And I think that's going to be it. I don't think we're going to see another chance because Newcastle have managed to time waste successfully. 95, 96, 95, 96, just coming up to 96 minutes. We're still waiting for this kick to be taken. I'm betting Peter Banks is going to bow pretty much on 96 minutes. When in fact he should be given another minute or so for the time wasted here. It's a very poor free kick, I think, but it's worked its way into the box. Will there be one more shot here? Bowen goes to put his head in, gets his arm kicked. And now Peter Banks has given a free kick to West Ham because Murphy's kicked Bowen's arm when Bowen threw himself at the ball. There's no foul. There's no foul. It's a ridiculous decision. It's gone in West Ham's favour, but that is yet another ridiculous decision given by the referee, who I'm sure is just trying to add up his tally of fouls given to West Ham. So if it's addressed after the match, you can say, well, look, I've given them so many. It's not a foul. It's not a free kick. You've had an absolute shocker today, Peter Banks. It's probably cost West Ham more because the decisions you've made, the wrong decisions you've made against West Ham have been in instrumental areas, whereas the ones in favour of West Ham have generally not been, apart from the free kick, which we were awarded in the 85th, 86th minute, or whatever it was. But we're now 97 minutes on, so I imagine this full time will be blown as soon as this is taken. Indeed, it is 97 minutes and 7 seconds. And Peter Banks, who's had an absolutely shocking game, a complete stinker, calls time on what ultimately finishes as a draw. West Ham and Newcastle share the spoils. It's finished West Ham United 2, Newcastle United 2. West Ham taking the lead after just 9 minutes. Emerson managed to go around Nick Pope, square the ball for Thomas Souček, who had the entire goal to choose from and put it into an empty net. Newcastle didn't manage to get a shot on target in the first half, the entire first half, but scored twice within 17 minutes of the second. The leveller coming from Isaac from close range. Alvarez inadvertently heading a free kick back into Isaac's path. And then the same player added a second from just as also inside the 6-yard box again, when Kieran Trippier, for the first and probably the only time in the game, managed to get behind Emerson and centre, where Isaac was on hand to tap home from no more than 2 yards out. Looked like West Ham were heading to defeat until substitute Mo Kudus stepped up to fire home the equaliser in the final minute of the game. Really good strike from the edge of the box, and another assist for Vladimir Soufal. Very much looking forward to David Moyes' comments on this one this afternoon to hear what he's got to say about Peter Banks. You know, some of those decisions today were absolutely atrocious. Jimenez was booked for tripping Emerson after 16 minutes. Emerson also received a caution from referee Banks for waving an imaginary yellow card in the air in response to the foul. 2 minutes later, Jimenez performed a very similar trip on James Ward-Prowse, who was heading into the Newcastle half. It was a cynical foul, what they used to call a professional foul, and one that was and should always be rewarded with a yellow card. Peter Banks, I think, bottled it, just simply bottled it, saw the player that was about to be booked was the same one who had already received a caution 2 minutes earlier, and he put his card back in his pocket, or at least the thought of booking the player back in his pocket. and Jimenez was allowed to continue. And then just before the half-hour mark, Almiron was tripped in the West Ham half and did exactly the same thing as Emerson, waved the imaginary card asking for a foul, and Banks ignored it and allowed him to continue. So consistency, absolutely none of it at all this afternoon. And then Almiron not booked for yet another very similar trip on Bowen a few minutes later. So, theoretically, he too could have been off the pitch, and neither of them could have been involved in the second half, especially Jimenez, who was involved to some degree in both of the Newcastle goals. So I would imagine David Moyes will be asking plenty of questions about the official tonight and just how he could get so much wrong. And he did. It was an atrocious decision. Not just that, but, silly little things like right at the end, the free kick he gave to West Ham when Murphy, I think it was, wasn't it? The substitute raised his foot to meet the ball, and Jarrod Bowen threw himself at the ball, leading with his arm. Murphy kicked Bowen's arm. Clearly Bowen's fault. Murphy had done nothing wrong, and Murphy was penalised for I don't know what it was for. Dangerous play, maybe, I don't know. But it was an atrocious decision, and just one of several that today's match official made. The worst refereeing performance by a country mile for me so far this season. But, as I always like to say, you can't blame the referee for not winning football matches, generally speaking, unless maybe he sends 3 or 4 players off, as was the case against Leeds that day many years ago at the Boleyn, when I think we ended the day with 8 players, didn't we? But anyway, I digress, and it has finished 2-2. That is how it's figured. I should tell you what's happened elsewhere before we end today's stream. There were 2 other fixtures this afternoon in the Premier League. Brighton at home to Liverpool, and Wolverhampton Wanderers playing at home to Villa. Now, Wolves and Villa was 1-1 for a very, very long time. It's still 1-1, although Wolves are down to 10 men because Mario Lemina has been sent off 4 minutes into added on time. Not quite sure what for, but he has received his marching orders. It's a foul. Lemina fouled, penalised for pulling Zaniolo over. Second yellow card of the day. So they're down to 10 men. The only other game taking place this afternoon was Brighton versus Liverpool. That one finished, as did West Ham and Newcastle, 2-2. So the spoils shared there. Let's have a quick look at the table and see how that leaves us. West Ham remain 14th, 7th in the Premier League. That would be some drop. Remain 7th in the Premier League with 14 points from 8 fixtures. 4 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats for the Hammers, plus 3 goal difference remain. That Kudus goal, of course, helps ensure we remain above Newcastle, who would have moved above West Ham had they held on for the win at this afternoon. Brighton's point keeps them 2 points above West Ham, and Villa, of course, who are currently drawing at Wolves, next in the table on 16 points. Then we have Arsenal, Liverpool on 17. Arsenal with a game in hand. Tottenham and Man City top of the table as things stand. So yeah, there it is. An interesting afternoon. Pretty decent game of football. West Ham, as often been the case so far this season, much better before the break. Had a really good first half, but second half just weren't at the races. Sat back and, yet again, we've still got that problem of conceding goals early in the second half. It was 2 today, and it could have cost us all 3 points. But thanks to Mo Kudus, we've managed to get back into it and snatch a point, which, to be fair, we fully deserved. It was a fairly even game, even though I think Newcastle probably had the lion's share of possession. Indeed, we can just check the stats. 65% in the end to West Ham's 35%. So the Hammers managed to pull that back a bit. We had 29 at half time. But it has finished West Ham United 2, Newcastle United 2. That's it from the Eyes Up Mother Brown team, i.e. me, this afternoon, everyone else at the game. And we shall be back. You know what? I don't know when we're going to be back. That's a very good question. When's West Ham's next game? Someone tell me, when are we playing next? I don't even know. This is shocking stuff. I should know these things. I can tell you in just a second. Yeah, of course. It's Villa. We go to Villa next Sunday, 4:30. So no game this week. You can have a Wednesday and Thursday night off, folks. And enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you all on Sunday. Thank you to everybody joining me live on the stream this afternoon. Just a couple of quick comments before we go. Dan B says, considering the awful refereeing in the game, I will take a draw. Hobo echoing that by saying dreadful refereeing. It's just clearly unfair. And Alf's adding terrible officials, but another point. Stevie Palmer says, I was hoping for a win, but after that game, a point is valuable. And any old irons adding, when the officials have failed, when they become the conversation over 90 minutes. Leonard Brooks says, I'll take that, but someone at West Ham seriously needs to start demanding answers from PGMOL. Trouble is, David Moyes does that during the interview and will get fined or banned. And Steve Palmer replied, I would happily take a fine or ban after that. So there you go. Man of the match, get yourself, we're not going to do it. Get yourself on over to the KUMB.com general discussion match thread, and you can select your man of the match over there. Who's mine today? Don't know. I'll let you know on the forum a bit later. I have to have a little think about it. Thanks to everyone for your company this afternoon. I shall see you all again very soon. As I said, next game, Sunday, Aston Villa away. We will see you all again on Eyes Up, Mother Brown. Thank you for your company. Take care. Until then, everyone, have a great week. And until I see you on Sunday next,